In this video, we're going to discuss exporting cable information for either creating cable labels or creating a cable pull list. To begin with, we're going to export the displayed cable tag. You can also export the entire cable tag if you would like, but for most cases, we just export the displayed cable tag so that way it kind of matches up with the drawings. As with most reports, you can do the report based off of mounting location, higher level function, or the entire project. In our case, we're just going to go ahead and do the entire project. So what we want to do is we want to export, instead of the displayed cable tag, we'll export the part number associated so we know what cable it is that we're talking about, and then the source and the destination of the cable as well too, so that way you know where you're pulling from and to. To begin, we come under Utilities, Manufacturing Data, Export, Labeling. This will pop up our Export Manufacturing Data Output Labeling dialog box where you can choose different schemes. In this case, we're going to go ahead and make a new scheme. So we click our lookup button, and then from here you'll see we can create we click on the new button to create a new scheme. We're going to select Cable Overview. That gives us the broad general sense. And then we click OK. And then here we want to give ourselves a meaningful name. And then a description of what you're doing. From here, you got multiple settings tabs. The file, you could choose the file type, where it could be Excel, text, or XML. In our case, we're going to do a text file. That way you have the ability to manipulate the data as needed or even look at it in a very quick sense. You can enter a target file. This will be the default file that it exports to. We're going to leave it blank so that way we get to choose the file name that we want to export it to. You could choose either option. We typically try to leave it empty and just gives ourselves a little more freedom. Under the header, you can put header stuff in there, but we're just going to leave it blank. We have no need for any header information. The bulk of the report is going to come under the label tab. To begin, we want to go ahead and highlight the cable. This is going to get us our main information, and then click the right button arrow. From here, we want to just come up and select the DT. And as kind of mentioned earlier, we're going to go ahead and select the display DT so that way it matches up with what's being shown in the actual drawings. That way it creates a little less confusion when people are trying to cross-reference between the drawings and the actual cable tag. You could go ahead and put DT full or identifying as well too. Any of them will work, but in this example, we're just going to use the DT displayed. Then we highlight it and click OK. Because we're a text file, we want to go ahead and do some sort of delimitation between the different data entries here. So we got to put a separator in. So we come down, highlight separator, click the right arrow button, and that will ask us to what we want to do our delimiters. Here you can choose other characters such as a comma delimited or a semicolon delimited. In our case, we're just going to use a tab delimited. So we select the tab radio button and then click OK. That now puts our separator in there. The next thing that we want to do is put our part number in so we know what cable that we're running from. So we highlight the part and then click your right arrow. Once again, you get a pop-up dialog to select the information you want. We want to come down to our order number so we know what it is that we're putting in there as far as the cable number. And we click OK, and that's now added our order number to the report. And as before, we're going to come in and put a separator after the cable order number. Highlight it, click the right arrow. Once again, choose the tab button or radio button, and then click OK. And then what we want to do is select our device source. So we highlight it and click the right arrow. And now here, we want to use the full DT. There's multiple reasons for this. This just kind of especially when you're running from panel to panel or something along those lines. Or if you run into terminals, and sometimes we don't always display the DT on the terminals. So what we're going to do is just select the full DT. That gives us all the information, and that way it reduces any confusion that could possibly pop up when you're giving somebody the data coming out of this report. So we're going to highlight it, click OK. And as before, we're going to put our tab in after the data. The last piece of information is we want to know where the cable is going to. So we've already put where it's coming from. So now we're going to highlight the device target so we know where it's going to. Click the right arrow. And just like the source, we're going to highlight the full DT to get all of the information, not just partial. And then click OK. That's going to get us all the information we really want in our report. And just like the header, you can add footer, and you can also change some settings like the filter or the source settings. In our case, we're just going to leave everything else as default. And then we're going to click OK, and that's going to create our new scheme. And then, here at this point, because we did not enter in a default file, we now can specify the file location that we want to do it. So we've created a known location for our exports, and we're going to create a text file for the cables. If you already had an export, you can always overwrite it and it will prompt you as needed, just like any other file export. So we enter the file name. And then down here, you have the options of doing an export and export start application. We typically like to do a export start application. That way we can see the data as it applies and make sure that the report ran. You also have the option to apply your entire project, especially with the cables. This kind of becomes a little more important. That way we just grab the entire project's cables all at once. Once again, if you just decide to do a higher level function, you could just do the higher level function. But because cables can run between mounting locations and higher level functions, it's best to just kind of do the entire project. So then we click OK. It's going to go through, and as you can see, we've now exported all of our cables. Just to give you an example, we have a cable down here that has a part number of this, the EVC03, and that way you can identify what kind of cable to pull. And it's telling us to pull from TV7 to the proximity switch 4010. So that gives you all the information that you need. Thanks for watching and enjoy. Good luck.